Ira Epstein with your Spider ETF wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Wednesday, the 23rd of August, 2022. So tomorrow, we open up the Jackson Hole Symposium. I know I've been waiting for that. I've had my traders, I don't mind telling you, go to primarily cash. We'll begin trading fresh, walking our way back into the market probably after 9 o'clock on Friday, after I see what Fed Chair Powell says and the reaction to it. Once I'm through that, then I feel that we're back to the normal parts of the market. We do have the Labor Day holiday. You're ending up, if you will, the summer vacation right now. You know all the regular things that are going on. Twitter, pretty big range today, $2. Looking pretty good there. If you take a look at Tesla up, and now remember, Tesla splits tomorrow, 3 for 1, so be ready for that. Apple, we're getting very much ready now for the September 7th announcement of what we get in the phones and in the watch, so that should be interesting as can be. And it's a holding pattern in so many markets. So if we could, let's go to Nvidia, which has all of a sudden got very quiet here against the 169, 170 level, just sort of holding in there. As you can see, you're still in a downtrend. You negate that if you take out 174.65, and it just puts the market neutral at that point. Where the market's been finding supports, the 50-day moving average of closes, I told you about that, combined with the Bollinger Band. So those two are the numbers that have really put the market where it should be held, and I think that's the case that's going on. If you haven't taken my enhanced Bollinger Band course, folks, this is the time to do it. You learn the importance of when you hit those numbers the first time. If you don't have, or if you do have, be it oversold market, when you're hitting the bottom, or embedded. Got to learn how to work with it. It's like trading with one hand behind your back if you don't have that. I'll take you from your basic knowledge of what a Bollinger Band is, and I'm assuming you have that from my enhanced course, right on through now giving you your master's degree, maybe a doctorate degree in it. When we look at AMC, I'm reading more and more reports, people now scared of bankruptcy going to hit this. I'm not surprised. I was the guy that told you, you wait, you'll get your rally during the summer. I was on the money. You got your rally during the summer. And then I said, I don't see how this market can survive it. And when we got up here, that's what I was saying. I said, you don't have any more blockbusters coming. The kids are going back to school. Why do you want to own it? I didn't see Cineworld declaring bankruptcy. I didn't know about that. Nobody called me up to tell me. I just knew that the game is over. All right, now you got to service the debt. So they pulled a quickie out here in AMC and they created something called APE shares, which is basically dilution and giving you a dividend in a form, but that's basically what it is. And the reason is they got to hold on to whatever cash they can as they figure out the burn rate that they're going to get now. And what do they do to stay alive? That's where I think you're at in all this. When we step over to Apple, again, not a surprise that the market's trying to get neutral here. If you could, the trend is still up. You pulled back to fight at the 18-day average. You had lost the embedded reading in the market. And with that, the market fell back to the 18-day average, where I teach in the enhanced Bollinger course that that's what typically happens, and now we're marking time. This market will wait with two events. Obviously, it's going to wait to see what the general economy looks like, because at a $1,300 to $1,500 phone, as much as Apple has legions, that's a lot of money. So do you really need the phone? If you have a 12 or 13, I was listening today to the radio, not TV, to the radio, to an interview, and the person was saying, you really don't need the 14. You're not going to get all that much more, that you can't go on a little bit with your 12s and 13s. They're pretty darn good. I think he's probably right. Unfortunately, I have a 10. Then when we step over to Disney, and what did I say? You lost the embedded reading. Now the kids are back in school. What do you do for your next part? So the parks, now I want to be clear on this. The parks income, the surge is over. All the kids across the country, I can't say it's every single county and state, but the majority, they're back in school right now. And if they're back in school, well, the family's not going to be taking them to Disneyland anytime soon. Now the summer's over, you hunker down, if you will. Maybe you get to Florida for the Christmas time, or California, but you're not going anywhere right away. Obviously, what now starts counting are all the products that Disney has with the streaming TV, the movies they create and all, and that's what this market's got to rely on. As we step over to XLF, and this is the financial services, trend down, bias down, but you're trying to find support at the 100-day average. It's a difficult market to get short here, given the market has just dropped rather sharply, $3 or so, and that's a lot in this particular stock. If this all gives ground of something that Fed Chair Powell says, well, then you might be going towards the $32.5, $33 range. When we come over to XLI, the industrial sector, if the market can clear yesterday, not today's highs of 97.78, it gives you a short-term buy signal. Then your first resistance becomes 98.27, the 200-day average. If you can clear that, then you're clear sailing back up to the upper Bollinger Band. Again, you got to figure out what's gonna happen with Fed Chair Powell's speech and other central bankers. In the semiconductors, you're still in a downtrend. I would love to see it finish off by going to the lower band than the 100-day average to get its footing. It doesn't have to. Should prices get up here over 183.03, that could be enough to tell this market, okay, I'm done on the correction. I'm not ready to necessarily be bullish yet unless you close over 185.70. Then I could get bullish the market. There's a lot of what ifs. Trade setups are happening. That's the important thing. In the housing, I'd love to see it finish off down here. You know, I was just listening to our, I think it was Channel 7 in Chicago, and they're going, housing numbers are falling faster than they had in a decade. I don't see that. They're picking up stuff that I don't know where they're seeing that, okay? If anything, the median price of a home, if you were paying attention just to my reports recently, went up, not down. So we haven't seen those declines. Maybe the offer prices are coming off, but the sales prices, they're still very strong, and the reason is you don't have the supply. Toll Brothers came out with big numbers today. I'm looking, their average price home they sell is $920,000. They have a backlog. They have people wanting, hey, build me a home, build me a home. People with money are still doing that. In the energy sector, bullish. You know, you've got now the situation where you've seen the whites of the eyes of OPEC+. They are saying, hey, the economy's weakening. We don't like how the futures market trades against the cash. Maybe we'll cut oil production. But really, that's what they've been doing. They lie to you, not me. I know the truth. When they tell you they're going to produce 300,000 barrels more, 400,000, they don't meet their goals. So you can say whatever you want. You can say, and they're rightly so when they say, well, we have given our quotas increased production. They have, but nobody hits the quota. And that has been the dilemma. Now what they want to do is they don't want to see prices fall because they're used to making this kind of money. At the same time, Russia is turning to Asian markets and offering a rather steep discount, big one. They want to keep the flow of money coming into them. That war is burning through their war chest, as you can imagine. Not saying they're in trouble. I said it's burning through their war chest. When you come to GLD, lower highs, lower lows, and suddenly, remember we had the sideways action we were talking of the Bollinger Bands? Again, that enhanced Bollinger Band course, that's what you've got right there. When we take a look at GDX, again, the sideways action. You have a lower low, higher high. But this was all determined when everything went sideways. You went from the low to the high in the sideways part. Learn to work with Bollinger Bands. You get to recognize these patterns. Copper. I'm still thinking China's got to pull out all the stops to help their property market. There is no way. They got a revolt going on. If I'm a buyer, a Chinese buyer of a property in the past 2 months, the developer hasn't even begun it. The value of it's collapsing. I'm due to make my mortgage payments. I don't want to make them. I don't even know if that developer is going to be around. Chinese government says you got to make them, so now they got to get the property developer to build them. Unfortunately, they're taking a shine to the state-owned developers. They've got to go private too. So there'll be more money coming out. You watch, they'll be floating of bonds. There's a lot going on behind the scenes there. I've been reading about it, and they have no choice. TLT, all right. You know that everybody's going to talk higher interest rates. What we don't know is how high they have to go to get ahead of everything. If you listen to Mr. Bullard, of St. Louis, the Fed president there, or you listen to Larry Summers. Go 3/4 points, go a full point, get it up there, go to 4.5, do whatever you have to do on the Fed fund rate to get ahead of inflation. But that's assuming that inflation falls to 4.5. Remember, you want to see that rate ahead of the inflation number. I don't know where that's going to be. We have a lot of data coming out, and I would assume that Mr. Powell on Friday is still going to allude to the fact that they're not offering forward guidance. They're data dependent, jobs data, CPI numbers, they're all going to come into play to determine what do they do. Certainly they'll watch PMIs and all that, but that gives them an idea of what real inflation is doing at any point, but they'll be watching that. When you come to UUP, the dollar index, all right, you're up to a key resistance point. You don't get bullish at an upper Bollinger Band. The odds of staying over that black band or under it are 5% of the time. It's where you come out of the market looking to buy the breaks. Now, you did embed, and let's see if I can show you what that means today. I don't know if this is going to let me do that or not. It doesn't look like it wants to. Sometimes this crazy system will allow me to do it, other times it won't. I'm not going to worry about it. It takes 3 days where you've got readings over 80 to get embedded, and then what you do with the embedded, I teach you in that course. And that brings me to this. Why not take a look at what we do with that enhanced course? I've created a whole thing to show you what it's all about. It's 11 video chapters. It's super inexpensive. It is something I am convinced, I really believe this, it'll stay with you the rest of your trading life. That's a pretty strong statement from me. Take a look at this. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all 3 of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well. Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein on the road to your education.